0.05% of you who saw the TV show I was on. Please raise your hand. And, oh wow, 0.003%. Nice, nice. My name is Jared Crippen, aka the Diffuser, because when the Diffuser's around, bad guys are going down. I was on Stan Lee's amazing reality show, Who Wants to Be a Superhero, back in 2007. That is basically just like Survivor, but cheesier with spandex, where nerdy people such as myself and yourself admit it, you're here, aren't you? You got to create your own superhero, costumes, superpowers, everything else, and live with 9 other geeks and compete in challenges, missions. Like I said, just like Survivor, but we had mad freaking dogs attacking us. And it was a lot of fun, and the winner got his own comic book, action figure, and movie deal, and I was very lucky enough to win season 2. This is where you applaud. I did like spontaneous applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Since then, I've done a lot of conventions, a lot of them with Stan. So I'm going to tell you how this is going to work. You're going to have a lot of fun. If you've not been in a Stan Lee Q&A or a Stan Lee meet and greet, it's really a very cool experience because, folks, I'll admit to you that he's, Nathan, what is he now, 89? I cannot keep up with that man. And he is all over the place. He's been here since Thursday, doing photo ops and autographs and everything else, and he's an amazing guy. But I will tell you this, and he will readily admit it, he is deaf as a post. All right? So y'all are gonna, if you want to ask him a question, first off, it's completely unacceptable if you try to yell from your seat. Okay, that's cowardly, not heroic at all. So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna be brave and hardy, you're gonna come up to this wireless microphone right here, and you're gonna ask your question. Now, I will tell you right now, when you're asking your question, Stan Lee is not really hearing a word you're saying. Because some of you, if you've ever heard like a police radio, you're 10-4, 25 over on the north side of that, 10-4? Yeah. Okay, that's what Stan hears. Generally at these, my job is to listen to you ask your question. And then I go, hey Stan, he wants to know out of all the characters you've created, which one do you most identify with? And Stan will go, I heard him. And I'll get that look. And he hits me occasionally. But it's alright, because it's Stan Lee, right? So we're waiting. Nathan, your big job here for the next few minutes also is to be listening on the radio. And tell me when Stan the Man is on his way. So until that happens, how many of you heard my Stan Lee ping pong story?
Oh, let's hear this.
Not too many of you. Alright, so I promise you, I do realize you are not here to see me. I'm cool with that. You're not here to listen to me either. I'm cool with that as well. But you're going to sit down and shut the hell up in here anyway. So, I'm going to tell you because we all love, who loves Stan Lee? So since we're still waiting for Stan, I have 2, now 3, because something happened yesterday. I haven't gotten permission yet. Statute of limitations or something hasn't run out. But I have at least one Stan Lee story I want to tell you. So we're filming Who Wants to Be a Superhero, and we're in the green room, which is like a hospitality room, and we've done a photo shoot, and I'm sitting at one end of the bench and Stan Lee's at the other. I'm not allowed to speak to him because on this TV show, he's my judge, jury, and executioner. And they warned us, you cannot talk to him. I said, okay. So I'm just sitting there. It's Stan Lee. It's cool. And he finally, after about 5 minutes, looks at me and goes, okay, Diffuser. I cannot sit in a room with someone and not talk to them. Me either. And he goes, so we're going to talk, but we cannot talk about anything that has to do with the TV show or the characters or the contestants at all. And I went, okay, cool. And he goes, so you're really a cop in Texas? I went, uh-huh. You're really Stan Lee. And he goes, uh-huh. So we chit-chatted for a minute, told him some stuff about Austin, Texas, and how I've been a cop there for 20 years. Yeah. And he, even our children have guns. All right. Yeah. Steers and queers, yeah, I've heard it, whatever. Come up with some new material. There's a ping pong table in there for entertainment. And he looks at it. You want to play some ping pong? What do you say? No? Stan Lee? I said, of course. He goes, you ever played before? And I'm like, yeah, it's a national sport of Texas. With horses. And so we're over there, and he's just like, dink, dink, dink. Well, then his business partner, Gil, walks in. So, at the time, I think Stan was 85. I hit the ball to him, Stan hits the ball, puts it up on the paddle, and while he's looking away, talking to Phil, he's balancing the ball on a paddle. Okay, my grandfather's the exact same age as Stan Lee, and my grandfather couldn't hold the paddle, much less balance a ping pong while he's doing this. So he's talking, well, I'm patiently waiting, because it's frickin' Stan Lee, and I'm just like, oh, and Stan Lee does this, he said, yeah, okay, well, okay, we're almost done here. Wham! And I'm like, what was that? In the calmest voice, he looks me dead in the face and goes, you just got slammed by Stan Lee. Did not bother me one damn bit. Okay, my next one is a quick one. Where'd Nathan go? That's Simon. Man, he just disappears. It's like freaking ninja. Alright, so we're still waiting for Stan. He's not here yet. I'm not cutting into your Stan Lee time. He is 90 years old. It might take him a while. Did we let him drive the golf cart this time? Because that did not turn out well last time. Okay. So, I'm on the show. We've won the show. Is he here? Man, you got a gun? Shoot that lock. I've won the show. They congratulate me. They're bringing back the past contestants who'd been eliminated. One of them was named Basura. Who saw the show? Basura, I'm sorry, I love my wife, but Basura was hot. All right, she was like this all rubber, made of rubber bike tire costume. She runs. Stan Lee's next to me. He's just crowned me the next great superhero. All the cast members are high five, chest bumping. And Basura comes running up, jumps up. Her legs just happen, it was an accident. Young man, do not repeat the story. Goes around my hips, and she is a healthy girl, and hugs me, and her... Do I need to detail? Okay. Okay. And she hops down and runs off, and Stan Lee leans over to me and goes, "You're welcome." Thanks, Stan. Is that one right there? That's my wife. There are holes being burned in my chest cavity right now. But no, it was an amazing show working with Stan. One of the main reasons I keep working for Wizard World, aside from I'm a nerd and geek, I have 12,000 comic books in my garage, is I get to work once a month with Stan Lee. He tells the most amazing stories. I rarely ever hear the same story twice. In fact, I just heard a new story Friday, and if any of you wants to, we all ask a lot of the same questions. That's cool. He doesn't mind asking it. One gentleman asked a question about, Stan, you've been married for X amount of years. You're one of the biggest names in the world, one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. How have you managed to remain married to the same woman all these years? And folks, his story brought a tear to my eye because it blew me away. And I will not tell you what he said because there's no way on this earth I could do justice. But if any of you want to ask him a question and you don't have anything to ask about, if you mention his wife, I swear his face will light up. It's an amazing thing in this day and age to see someone married for that long can feel that much love for each other. Wow is right. We're waiting. And who's got the trivia sound thing? Oh, hell. I like you people. Man, I can talk partly cloudy skies, 75 degrees, winds out of the south by southwest at 15 miles an hour. You can put away those umbrellas because it's going to be sunny skies here in Chicago.
Shoot the traffic.
I can do that. I can't do traffic because I want to shoot people.
Knock jokes.
Who the hell let this person on my road today? I have places to be. I don't care where, doctor. I don't care. They can bleed. If we're still waiting, okay, I'm really not supposed to, but I am, if you don't know, I've been a cop in Austin, Texas for 20 years. I've been a detective for 12. So I'm a criminal investigator, I teach, and I'm a specialist in interview and interrogation. So I get to chat with a lot of interesting people. So real quickly, as we're waiting, I'll cut this story off in mid-sentence if I have to. I'm hearing important voices. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks and freaks of all ages, please welcome Stan the Man Lee.
I love you, Stan!
Oh, thank you. I love me too. Hey, let me tell you, you know who this guy is, Jared over here? We had a show called Who Wants to Be a Superhero? Yeah. So You Want to Be, or something like that. He won the second round. Yes. He was the Diffuser. Yeah. So you better watch yourself, that's all I got to say. Now, what am I doing here?
Question and answers, or you can do anything you damn well please. You're Stan Lee.
Well, I'm going to go home. I got people waiting for me. But if it's question and answers, what if I don't know the answer?
You'll do what you always do. You make something up.
Listen, for God's sake, ask easy questions. It's been a tough weekend. All right, here we go.
Yes, sir. Listen, what you got, buddy?
I'm Mr. Stanley.
Who are you?
I'm John Streamack. I'm from Chicago.
Do you have any ID?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. My question is, what is your favorite moment ever working on a Spider-Man comic?
My favorite moment?
Ever.
I think when I finished. It was hard work. I don't know. I don't know that I have a favorite moment. I spent a lot of moments yelling at Steve Ditko. They were nice. No, I loved every minute. Writing Spider-Man, writing all of those things, it was fun. It was great, and there's no, I'm sorry to frustrate you, but there's no really one moment that stands out. As I say, except when I would finish a story, I'd, oh, thank God, and then I'd realize, now I got another one to write. So it just went on forever.
Do you mind if my little brother
right, thank you.
just parks beside you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, I'm Evan from Chicago, and first off, I'd just like to thank you for everything you've done. My question is, could you share a heartwarming fan moment with us?
I didn't get that
So
clearly.
Evan from Chicago wants you to share a heartwarming moment from a fan at one of the conventions.
Well, some of the heartwarming moments, seriously, there's a charity called, what is it called, where they get their favorite wish, Make-A-Wish Day. And usually at every place I go, there's somebody who's been ill, and his wish was to come to the convention and meet me. And I can't tell you how emotional that makes me feel. I'm sure it makes everybody feel that way when the wish is to meet that person. So I'm not naturally and normally a nice guy, but I have to try to be nice for 5 minutes with that person. It's hard as hell. But those are moments that I remember. And I guess I'll always remember.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Stanley. I'm Elijah Manor from Chicago. I was wondering, my friend and I, Maxwell, always get into a debate over who's the better Avenger, Captain America or Iron Man. I was wondering from you, what did you think?
You know, you probably think I'm the most perfect human being you've ever met. I have to tell you, I do have a flaw. I do not hear as well as I used to. I heard your voice, but I couldn't make out the words, so I'm sorry, but what did he say?
So Elijah from Chicago wants to know, out of the Avengers, who's your favorite, Iron Man or Captain America?
Well, if I say Captain America, would you want Iron Man to be mad at you? And if I say Iron Man, would you want to have to duck that damn shield all the time? It's so tough for me. I don't have a favorite because I love them all. My favorite was usually the one that I was writing at the moment, you know, because I was involved in them. But I think they're all so wonderful and clever and brilliant. It's hard for me to imagine that I made them all up.
Thanks, Elijah.
Hi, my name is Robert. I'm from Austin, Texas. Good to see you and your cohorts, Stan. My question is that with the current affairs happening in the Middle East with Syria, Afghanistan, and Iran, I was wondering, will there be, you travel a lot, I was wondering if you will be able to do a USO tour, because our servicemen and women serving over there.
A USO tour in the Middle East?
Yes.
It's funny, I've never been invited to do that. I think if I were, it would be damn hard to say no. But nobody's asked me that. We do send a lot of comic books to our troops all the time. And I don't think I've ever been to a convention when some troops, some servicemen haven't come over and we talk for a while and it's great. And again, you couldn't say no to the USO if they ever asked you. Impossible.
Thank you, sir.
I am RJ from Chicago. First, I want to say thank you for my childhood. And
I heard that. Whenever anybody says thank you, I hear it so clearly.
and thanks for the majority of my adulthood too. I wanted to know if there was any hero or storyline you would want to work on that you haven't had the chance to. What hero would it be, and what might you do with it?
Well, it's a difficult thing to answer because it's like saying, is there any story you wish you had written? I don't know any stories that I haven't written. I think I've written them all. I don't think there are any stories left to write. But I think the Avengers, when I saw the Avengers movie, I was so glad that I had written an Avengers comic book because I thought that movie was just great. Oh, speaking of the cameo, for those of you who don't know this, I'm going to give you a little inside information so you can impress your friends later on. A lot of people wondered, how come the movie made so much money? The answer is so obvious. You mentioned my cameo. They made the cameo very brief and way at the end, and a lot of people missed it. Well, what does somebody say when they get out of the theater and they realize they missed my cameo? I've got to buy another ticket. If not for my cameos, that movie would probably have made half what it made. And if you believe that, I have a bridge in Brooklyn, I'll sell you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amber Steele from Chicago. I met you Friday, and I just wanted to tell you that I got your name, your signature that you signed. I got it tattooed, and you're such an inspiration to me. And I'm going to be a comic book artist too. I'm creating comic books, and I'm left-handed, so every time I look down, I'm going to see your name. That's all I want to say.
I couldn't make out what she said, but you had the most beautiful gestures. What was the question?
The Pink Power Ranger would just like to thank you for autographing her arm, and she will never wash it off.
You can't. I use that indelible marker. You're very welcome. I can't understand people who want my autograph on an arm. I would think on a check maybe, but hey, to each his own.
Thank you.
You tattooed it.
Hey, did I miss that?
Yeah.
You actually she tattooed over the ink, so your signature is tattooed on her arm permanently.
Why are you surprised?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Hi Stan, my name's Tim, I'm from Chicago, and talking about your cameos, I mean, they're probably some of the best highlights of all the films that have been done. And one of the funniest moments was in The Amazing Spider-Man. When you did that scene, I actually laughed out loud, my wife and I were cracking up. So I was wondering, did they give you any direction as to what you should be doing in that scene, or was that just impromptu? And then also, what were you listening to in the headphones?
So he likes to know in the cameo you did in The Amazing Spider-Man that just came out, how much direction were you given, how much choice did you have, and what were you listening to on the headphones?
I was listening to show you what a great actor I am. I wasn't listening to anything. I was pretending to be listening to something. And do you think a director would dare tell me? No, actually, the director was great, and it was all his idea. And I thought it was terrific. I thought it worked beautifully, and it was funny. And wait until you see the cameo that I just did the other day in Iron Man 3. You won't believe it. It gave me a chance to really perform. You're going to see the real Stan Lee on the screen. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ryan from Altoona, Iowa. And I was just wondering, you've spoken before in the past about how you really get a kick out of movies, just seeing your characters that you created 40 years ago brought into life in flesh and blood, and how great that is. And we all enjoy it too. And I was wondering if there's a specific casting, a specific, you know, when an actor that was chosen for a certain part to play one of your characters that really stuck out for you as really great, as really that hit the note. Like that was great casting, and that actor really was able to bring that character to life in a great way.
You know, it's awful to have hearing like mine. All I could make out of that whole speech was 4 years ago, and I was wondering. There must have been something more.
Absolutely. Brian from Iowa wants to know, out of all the characters that you created to become movie characters, which actor do you feel nailed it?
Again, do you think I'm going to mention one actor and all the others will never talk to me again? But they're all damn good. If you saw The Avengers, there wasn't a bad performance. They're great. I must say, the one I get the biggest kick out of, because there's always a touch of humor in what he does, and that's Iron Man. That's Downey Jr. I'll tell you a little personal something. I had lunch with him one day, and we went to my favorite restaurant in Los Angeles. And all I could think of when I was having lunch with him, because everybody recognized him, I was thinking, they're going to treat me so well the next time I come in. They'll think he's a friend of Robert Downey Jr. Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Hi Stan, I'm Ryan from Peoria, Illinois. I just want to know, with all the twinkling vampire movies that have been out in Hollywood lately, do you think the world is ready for Michael Morbius in the next Spider-Man movie?
So Ryan wants to know, with all the hubbub lately in culture about vampires and sparkly vampires, will Morpheus be making an appearance in the next Spider-Man movie?
I guarantee that there's a whole group of people at Marvel sitting around saying, what else can we do? And it would be very unlikely if somebody doesn't say, how about Morpheus? So I'm sure sooner or later he will. There's no doubt about it. Every big character we've had, Doctor Strange, the Black Panther, they're even working on Ant-Man. So Morpheus.
Hi, Mike Ragonia from Fairfield, Iowa, and I just wanted to ask you who your your favorite musical Spider-Man is: Bono's Broadway Spider-Man, or Rock Reflections of a Superhero, narrated by Stan Lee.
I got the beginning, I didn't get the end.
So Mike from Iowa, is that right, wants to know, which is your favorite Spider-Man musical?
The Bono Broadway version, or your jaunt on...
Bono did a Broadway musical version of Spider-Man, or your version.
Did I do one?
Spider-Man.
Which one was that?
Spider-Man Rock Reflections of a Superhero with Stan Lee.
You mean that old record I did years ago?
That old record.
You know, honest to God, I don't even remember what it was. I remember what the album cover looked like, but I can't, I'll have to go back and, I can't go back, I don't have it anymore. If somebody here has it, would you please play it on YouTube so that I can catch it? Why does everybody want to know what people's favorites are? Remember that? Oh, that's some great cover. Romita drew that. Does it mention my name?
Oh yeah, right on the front cover.
Right on the front cover. It's a good album.
Kind of a bummer.
Hi, I'm Alex from Kansas City. I was wondering, so many characters, are there any that haven't made it to film yet that you'd like to see on the big screen?
Yeah, the ones I mentioned, if I heard them right, the ones I mentioned, Black Panther and Doctor Strange. I can't wait to see those. By the hoary hosts of Hoggath, they'll do it sooner or later.
Hi, I'm Josh from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was wondering, there's rumors of a Deadpool movie. Is there going to be one?
Josh from Cincinnati wants to know if there's going to be a Deadpool movie.
Are you sure he's from Cincinnati? Did he verify that?
No.
You have an ID?
Yes, I do, sir.
All right. I am sure there will either be a Deadpool movie or he will be in a movie the way the Black Widow is. And sooner or later, if he's in a movie, he will eventually star in a movie. But Deadpool, and I hate to say this because I didn't create the character, he's very popular. Drives me crazy. There are a few characters I didn't create. I didn't create Wolverine. And I should have created Wolverine. I didn't know when I stopped writing this stuff that other people were going to create other things. I would have stayed there. Why give them a chance? Hey, that's the breaks.
Hi Stan, my name is John, I'm from Chicago, and this is my son Casey. First off, Casey would like to say something to you.
Thank you for Marvel, Mr. Lee.
Thank you for Marvel, Mr. Lee.
You are very welcome. Thanks for coming and for saying that.
My question to you is, when did you first realize how big Marvel was going to be, and what was your reaction when you...
I heard that. I got every word.
I like to speak clear.
I realized how big Marvel was becoming when the sales figures started coming in. And after we did the Fantastic Four, and then, I forget, either the X-Men or the Hulk, whichever came next, And suddenly, books that had been selling up here, when we looked at the figures, they were rising and rising. And suddenly, we were selling more than National Comics, which became DC after a while. And I didn't need a house to fall on me. I said, we're on to something. So let's do more, let's do more. And we started knocking out all these things. And it was, I never had more fun because I was working with the greatest artists, the greatest visual storytellers that have ever been. Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, John Romita, John Buscema, Gil Kane, Don Heck, all these guys. They were brilliant, Gene Colan. And I loved them because they made my stories look good. No matter what I wrote, they drew it so beautifully. Everybody said, wow, look at that. I don't think they even read the words. They just looked at the pictures and I got all the credit. What a wonderful arrangement.
Hi, my name is Robert, and what inspired you to make comics?
Robert wants to know what inspired you to start creating comics.
Did Robert say where he was from?
Robert, where are you from?
Chicago.
Chicago.
It doesn't make any difference where you're from, but everybody was saying, so I figured maybe it's important. What inspired me to make comics? Greed. I had to make a living. And in those days, it was tough to make a living. And I had this job at this comic book company. And people sometimes say to me, did you ever dream that the things would be so big? Of course not. All that we thought of at the time we were doing these was, I hope the books will sell well enough so I'll keep my job and be able to pay the rent. And that's why I did the comics, just to make a living. While I kept thinking, there must be something better that I could do, but while I'm waiting to find it, I'll do the comics. That was before we did the Marvel books. Because before we did the Fantastic Four and the books that followed that, comics were just, nobody paid any attention to them. It was embarrassing to go to a party. People would say, what do you do? And I knew what was coming. So I didn't try to wait. I tried not to wait. I'd say, oh, I'm a writer, and I'd walk away. But they'd follow me. What do you write? Children's stories. Oh, what kind of children's stories? Anyway, at some point, I had to say comic books. After which, the person would walk away from me like I had the plague. Of course, now it's different. Now I go to a party, and people see me and they say, excuse me, President Obama, isn't that Stan Lee over there? That is a slight exaggeration.
If you can hold on for 1 sec. We have a question right here up front.
Are you going to make a Marvel Civil War movie?
Am I going to make another what?
A Marvel Civil War movie.
Well, we've done everything else. We might as well do that again. That was very popular, by the way. So maybe we will find a reason for our characters to fight each other. That's always fun when heroes fight each other. And then the villains jump in, and you don't know who to root for, so you don't buy the book, you go over to DC.
Yes, sir.
My name is David, and I'm from Chicago. How old were you when you started to make comic books?
Notice how proudly they say, I'm from Chicago. I like that.
David wants to know, how old were you when you started writing comic books?
I think I was 17. And yeah, I was about 17. 16 and a half, 17 in a couple months. I don't remember, somewhere around there. I had just graduated high school.
Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth.
At least he didn't ask me for my favorite year.
I'm Elizabeth from Wisconsin, and one of our family's favorite activities is going to superhero movies, Marvel superhero movies, and one of our favorite activities in the movies is looking for your cameos, of course. And I was wondering if you have a favorite cameo appearance or one that you have a particularly fun story about.
Well, my favorite cameo, yeah, I heard all of that, or most of it. My favorite cameo is the one that I did in Iron Man 3, and I cannot tell you what it is. But at least, let's see, if there are 1,000 people here, I know we're going to sell 1,000 tickets. Thank you. By the way, I didn't see an empty chair, did I? Because if I did, I'm leaving. What was the other part of the question? There was another part, I think. No, okay, that took care of it. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Lee. My name is Conrado from the south side of Chicago. And I watched your Kevin Smith interview, and I saw how you got the inspiration for Spider-Man by watching a fly walking across the wall. I was thinking, what would happen if instead of Spider-Man, we got Flyman?
So he heard how you got your inspiration for Spider-Man by seeing a spider on the wall.
Actually, it was a fly. It was a fly, but I ended up calling it Spider-Man. But in the interest of accuracy, because I know you're all taking notes, it was a fly.
That answers his question.
Oh, is that it, really?
No, I asked
that's simple.
what would happen.
Hey. Take dictation and get up here then.
I said that what would change instead of Spider-Man, we got Flyman.
Would it have ever changed into Flyman?
I don't think so, because I felt that Spider-Man sounded more dramatic. See, I can say Spider-Man, but how do you go fly? It doesn't happen.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Peter Parker from Queens. I was wondering
You're
if I...
Peter Parker?
Yes.
Is that really your name?
I created you.
I left it in the hotel.
He's here for his allowance.
I was wondering if I could get a photo for the Bugle.
Yeah, any guy named Peter Parker, how could I say no? Where do we go from there?
Can I get a closer picture?
You're close.
No. Next question.
Hi, I'm Jason from Rockford, Illinois. I'd just like to say thank you for making so many movies, because I've worked in the movie theater for 10 years, and it's allowed me to keep my job, so thank you. I'd also like to ask you to tell us your favorite story.
Jason from Rockford wants you to tell your favorite story.
You know, I don't know whether you mean story that I've written or stories that I've read over the years, but I really don't have favorites. People are always asking me my favorite story, let's say my favorite movie. I've got there are about 100 or 1,000 movies that I love. I don't know how to say I love this one better than that. For example, one of my favorite movies, which you'd never suspect, it's not a superhero movie. It's if you ever saw My Fair Lady. I could watch that thing a million times. I could watch Gregory Peck made To Kill a Mockingbird. Any Errol Flynn movie starting with Robin Hood. I mean, there are so many great movies, and the same with stories. I mean, anything by Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, Mark Twain, Charles Dickens. I don't know how you can have a favorite. I don't know how to evaluate. I love this one better than that one, you know? But I feel by not having a favorite, I'm frustrating you. And you should never frustrate a fan. So I feel I'm failing in some way up here. What was the question?
You could never fail. You could never.
Do you like lasagna?
I love lasagna.
Mr. Lee, can you hear me?
Yeah.
First, can you say Excelsior? You have not said it.
Yeah. You want me to say Excelsior? Yes. I must have absolute silence. This is a very important moment, a very dramatic moment. Excelsior!
Woo! Woo! Second question. You have the X-Men reboot, the Spider-Man reboot. Do you know if they're going to collide with the Avengers universe?
That I couldn't make out.
So they've rebooted the X-Men and Spider-Man as far as the movies go, and the comics in some instances. Are they going to do a crossover with the Avengers?
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Look, they will do anything that seems like a good idea. Now, I couldn't answer your question accurately because I don't know. I don't really go up to the Marvel offices because they're in New York, I'm in LA, they're busy, I'm busy. So I'm like you. I'm just as surprised as you are when these things come out, although I do talk to them occasionally. And anything that's a good idea, believe me, they'll do it sooner or later. Because the one thing, the guys who work at Marvel now are overgrown fans. And they think and feel just the way you do. And they like these characters the way you do. And they're sitting around all day saying, what can we do next? What'll be a cool idea? So whatever you're thinking of, the chances are they're thinking of it too. They may have even beaten you to it.
Thank God, thank you, Mr. Lee.
Hello, my name's Shauna Roberts. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana. And this is my first Chicago Comic-Con, so I decided to get a tattoo this weekend. And my friends and I were discussing what Stan Lee could possibly have tattooed on him or would want tattooed on him.
Shauna wants to know, one, do you have any tattoos? And if not, what would you get if you got a tattoo?
I'd get yelled at by my wife. She'd say, how could you do anything to change any part of that magnificent body?
Exactly what she'd say.
Thank you.
Hi, Stan. My name's Josh. I'm from Indianapolis. I've been with my girlfriend for 3
Wait a minute. You didn't say Chicago. Did you say Minneapolis or Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis?
Yep.
I was stationed for a while in the Army there. I loved it. Welcome to Chicago.
Thanks. Okay, Stan. I've been with my girlfriend for 3.5 years. I'm thinking about getting married to her. I was wondering, when did you know for sure that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with your wife?
When did you know that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with your wife?
Well, I think the day I met her. If you ever heard the expression, love at first sight, I tell you what happened. When I was a kid, I used to draw. I do draw, though, not as well as the guys who do the comics. And when you're a guy and you draw, you always like to draw beautiful women. Unless you're gay, then I guess you draw beautiful men, see? So there was one face and figure that I always used to draw. It was my ideal. So one day when I got out of the Army, somebody invited me up to a model agency, and he said, there's one model there, I think you'd like her, and he arranged a blind date for me. So I went up to the agency and I knocked on the door, and the girl who answered the door was not the model I was supposed to meet. She was the head model, who was the one who always answered the door to see if she wanted to let you in. So the door opened, and there was the face and figure that I had been drawing all the years that I was a kid. And then I heard the voice, and she was English, and I'm a sucker for an English accent. Something like, hello, may I help you? And I looked at this angel standing there, and before I knew it, I think I said something like, I love you. So anyway, we got married a couple of weeks later, and that was it.
Thank you.
I didn't even hear that.
Sorry. I said, could you also tell her thank you for spending all of your money and forcing her to make you create Marvel for all of us here? We all appreciate it.
To thank your wife for putting up with you, and frankly, I'm going to call security on him for even.
She will appreciate that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jacob Minnick from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And my question is, Stan, when you have multiple ideas that you want to write about, how do you pick which one you're going to start working on?
Which one what?
If he has multiple ideas, which one do you start?
If you have multiple ideas, how do you know which one to start with? How do you pick?
I picked the best one. Well, I don't know how often I have multiple ideas. It's just tough enough to get one good idea. So usually when you're trying to write a story, you sit around and you scratch your head or whatever you do when you're thinking, and you look for an idea. Finally you get an idea, and you say, you're so relieved, you say, at last I thought of something, and you start writing it. At least that's what I do. I don't know that I've ever had multiple ideas, because I usually settle for the first idea I have, because I'm so glad I got it. That's about it. If I get another idea later, I use that for the second story.
I just want to warn everyone, we got time for about 2 more questions.
I'm just getting warmed up.
Yes, sir, but we're all exhausted. You're wearing us out.
Hello, I'm Evie Pollard. I live in Philadelphia, and I was wondering if, what's your favorite Marvel superhero?
My favorite something?
Marvel superhero.
Well, I know I have to say something, so I'll say Spider-Man. Mainly because he seems to be the most famous, the best loved, and the best known throughout the world. So I'm not going to go against the world's judgment.
Hello, I'm Mike from Oak Forest, Illinois, and I was just wondering what the inspiration behind the Juggernaut character.
The Juggernaut?
Mike wants to know what the inspiration was behind the Juggernaut character.
I wanted a guy who could run into things and nobody could stop him.
Thank you.
These things are very simple. They're very basic. They're not as brilliant as they may seem to be. You sit around and you think, you say, well, what new power can I get? A guy who, I always not mixed up, but I thought of the Juggernaut and the Blob at the same time. One guy, nothing could stop, and the other guy, nobody could move. So they were easy.
Hello, Mr. Lee. I'm Khan from Chicago, and I want to know...
Is that a Superman shirt you're wearing? Security!
So I was wondering, have you seen the mysterious Steve Ditko recently, or if at all?
Have you seen Steve Ditko lately at all?
No, not lately. I saw him quite a few years ago at the Marvel office when I was there. And we had a nice talk, and I said, why don't we do something together? He said, okay. And that was the last I saw him. I got busy and he got busy, and I guess we never really followed through with it. I don't think he really wants to do any more scripts for Marvel, but I can't answer for him. I don't know. He's a hell of a nice guy. He's a genius in his own way, but he's a very private person. He doesn't do interviews. He's a hard guy for me to understand, but he is a nice, incredibly talented man.
And can you say Excelsior one more time?
Sure, Excelsior. That's the easiest thing I can do.
Hi, I'm Laura Pollard from Philadelphia, and I know you've been drawing most of your life. I was just wondering, when you first drew comics, what came in your mind first to draw?
Right. When you first started drawing comics or writing, God, say that again?
What came in your mind first when you were drawing comics?
What came in your mind first when you started drawing comics?
I hope people will like the story. I would only write a story that I thought I would like to read. A lot of writers write and they say, I'm going to write this for people in their 20s, or I'll write this for people of this type or that type. I don't know how other people feel. I can only know what I like. So I just try to write a story that I think I would like to read. Am I answering the question, or am I getting a feel?
You're right. We just want to hear you talk.
Anyway, so that's the way it is. I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was.
When you were drawing comics, if you had some superhero in your mind, what would it be to draw first?
What would you draw first once you've come up with a character or a story?
Oh, well, once I came up with the character or story, because I just wrote them, I would find the fellow that I thought would be the best artist to draw that type of story, and I would give it to him and I'd say, hey, do you want to draw this? And if he said, wow, that's terrific, I'll draw it, we did it. If he'd say, well, I don't know, I'd say, forget it, because I like enthusiasm, and I'd keep asking. But I was lucky. Usually at the first crack out of the box, they'd say, yeah, I like that, and we worked together.
Thank you.
I see I'm going to have a competitor pretty soon. This man is going to go into the business.
Good morning, Mr. Lee. My name's JJ. I'm from Chicago. And first I want to say thank you for giving African-American females a role model. I came to Storm yesterday. You're the man.
I heard you're the man. That was good.
Thank you for bringing African-Americans into the industry and creating Storm and those types of characters. And she just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you for the thank you. I appreciate that.
But the question is, in the episode of The Big Bang, Sheldon was mad because he didn't get to go out with you for ice cream. Would you ever, if we all invited you to one of the after parties, would you go and hang out with us?
Would I ever?
In the episode of Big Bang Theory, you went out to have ice cream with Sheldon, and she wants to know if she personally asked you out on a hot date to go have ice cream.
Anytime. By the way, I love that show, and that was more fun for those of you who saw that episode of The Big Bang Theory. The producer happens to be a friend of mine, and he invited me to be on it, and I couldn't believe it. When you hear the applause and the laughter in that show, most people think, you remember they had those laugh meters where you push a button and people, this is really, it isn't the audience who laughs. They don't have an audience. This is the crew laughing. All the actors are laughing, and it's just the most fun.
That was an example of MC's prerogative, by the way.
I couldn't hear what you said. Get away from that mic.
I ad-libbed her question just a little bit, but you answered it fabulously.
I tend to do that.
Hi, Mr. Lee. I'm James from Chicago, and I just want to know, I've been creating comic book characters, and do you have any advice for people who create comic book characters?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to create comic book characters?
Create them. No, I don't. That's the hardest. It may seem simple. That's the toughest question in the world. Obviously, the first thing you have to do is come up with a character that's different from all the others, which is not easy. But if you can come up with a character who in some way has different powers or a different personality or something different about him or her, then the second difficult thing is you have to find some elements in that person's character and personality and situation that's going to make people care about the character. Anybody can write about a character, but why should somebody want to read that story? Why do they read the stories of de Maupassant and not the stories written by Joe Blow? Because he made characters that came alive. So you have to not only create a good character, but you have to find a way to make that character so interesting that people will want to read about him or her. And that's really all there is to writing, whether it's a comic book or a novel or whatever you're writing. A movie, a stage show, anything.
Thank you.
Last question.
Hi, Mr. Lee. I'm Amy from Chicago, and I first wanted to say thanks for all your work. I really love all your stuff. And I've always wondered, which X-Men character do you relate to, and why?
Which X-Men character what?
Which X-Men character do you relate to, and why?
Probably Professor X, because he's so damn smart. And also Patrick Stewart has become kind of a friend of mine. I'm sorry if this thing comes to an end, because I tell you, when I come to conventions, I usually have to spend a lot of time signing autographs, posing for pictures, and that's work. This is such fun. Can't we do this all day and not do the other stuff? There's
You're the boss, technically.
No, I'm not. They have a schedule.
All right, folks, we want to thank y'all for coming out to see Stan Lee.
Thanks again, guys.
Ooh. Oh, that was good.